Good evening, this is Robert Riddick from Farmers Insurance, the Riddick Agency here in McDonough, Georgia. I'm making this video just to talk about auto insurance. Being an agent, I have come to the conclusion, or I have figured out that the majority of people that are my clients initially just do not know about auto insurance. And especially the ones that are calling in for quotes. I asked one particular question. I asked them before I start the quote, how much liability coverage do you have? And the typical response is, well, I have full coverage. Well, that's not the answer that I'm looking for. So I wanted to explain to you the difference in liability coverage and then what it means to be full coverage, okay? And so let's talk about your liability coverage first, because when I ask that question, what's your liability coverage, how much do you have, what I'm looking for are three numbers. And we're just going to use Georgia state minimums right now. And I am not saying that the state minimums are okay unless you just cannot afford anything else, then you have to do what you have to do to get insurance. But the state minimum requirements are not enough insurance. Alright, so we're going to use the state minimum and we're going to talk about those three numbers. The first number goes $25,000, the second number is $50,000, the third number is $25,000. What this means, that first number is $25,000 per person in the accident, goes up to $50,000 per total in the accident, and then $25,000 for property damage. Alright, we're going to get back to that. Now, you have two different types of liabilities. You have liabilities for others, and then you have liability for yourself, or it's called uninsured motorists. Alright, so liability for others, using that minimum coverage, $25,000 per person, up to $50,000, $25,000 for your property damage. So what that means, if you get in an accident and you're guilty, you're paying liability for their medical damage. That goes $25,000 per person in the car, but it only goes up to $50,000. And then you have $25,000, which applies to the property damage that was involved in that vehicle. Involved in that accident. All right. Now, the other type of liability is uninsured motorist, or liability for you. Right. So uninsured motorist simply means if you hit somebody and they do not have any insurance, or they do not have enough insurance. Now, this is not required in the state of Georgia, but you should have it. And the reason for that is because 20 to 30% of people in Georgia do not have insurance. 60% do not have enough insurance because they have the state minimum. So what this means is that if you get in an accident and you hit somebody and they do not have any insurance, then your uninsured motorist will kick in for you. So that would be $25,000 per person in the car, up to $50,000, $25,000 for property damage. Now, if you hit somebody and they do not have enough insurance, then your uninsured motorist kicks in also. They will exhaust that person who's responsible, their liability coverage, and then your liability, uninsured motorist, would kick in after that. All right? So now let's talk about your comprehensive and collision. Now, the combination between the liability coverage and having comprehensive and collision makes you have full coverage. Now, comprehensive, right, it means you have to apply deductible to that, but comprehensive simply means if you hit any animate object like a deer, all right? Then you have collision. What that simply means, if you hit any inanimate object, like another vehicle, or back up into a fence like I did, right? That goes underneath your collision. Now your comp and collision will have deductibles, right? So $250, $500, $1,000, right? The higher deductible, the better. And I'm going to explain that to you in other videos. So a quick recap on that. Inside your auto policy, you have liability coverage, which is liability for others, and liability for yourself is based on three numbers: $25,000, state of Georgia minimum, $50,000 per person, total in the accident, and then you have $25,000 for property damage. Now, these numbers can increase. The next level up will be $50,000 per person in the accident, $100,000 total in the accident, and then normally you go with the first number for the third one, be $50,000 for property damage. Next level will be $100,000 per person in a vehicle per accident, up to $300,000, $100,000 for property damage. The next level would be $250,000, goes up to $500,000, $250,000 for property damage. Now that third number you can actually change based on what you think it should be, all right? The last number in some cases would be $500,000 per person, $500,000 per accident, and then you could be $500,000 for property damage. All right, so it just depends if you want to make that adjustment. Now, I'll end at this, on this recap. So you have the liability we talked about, you have your comp and collision, right? Comprehensive, if you hit an animate object, collision, inanimate object, you have a deductible. Now, the reason why the minimum coverage in the state of Georgia is not enough is, this is the reason. The average suit of an accident, if you get in an accident and they sue you, the average suit is close to $300,000 and some thousand. So if the highest you have for your coverage is only $50,000, like the state minimum, then guess what? The difference between $50,000 and $344,000 or $300,000 above comes directly out of your assets. That's why it's so important that you sit down with your agent and really figure out how much auto insurance you need, because not only does it protect your vehicle, but most importantly, it protects your assets, right? Your hard-working assets that you have worked a long time, your house, your retirement. It protects all those things, so an auto accident does not take away from that, right? That is protection that auto insurance can provide. So if you have any more questions, give me a call, 678-782-3040, and that's Robert Riddick. I am with the Riddick Agency for Farmers Insurance here in McDonough, Georgia. 678-782-3040. Give me a call if you have any questions, or if you want a quote done, I'll be glad to give you a quote. Hopefully I can save you some money, add some value to your policy. But most important, you're going to have me as your agent, in which I would definitely educate you on why and how much insurance that you need to make sure you and your family are taken care of or protected. All right, so it's my pleasure. Other videos will be coming out. I'll talk to you later.